So since this was going to be an all Big Brother season, I already knew coming in that we probably weren't going to get the usual strategy that we usually see on The Amazing Race. But damn y'all, I was not expecting this season to go down like this at all. Like, this is damn near the friendliest season of The Amazing Race I've probably ever seen. Today I'm going to be talking about episode 3 of season 38, and there is a lot to get into, but of course before we get into all that, make sure you hit that subscribe button below if you have not already. I'm going to be here all season covering the race and other competition reality shows too. It's always a fun time over here, so make sure you're subscribed before we get started. So this episode opens up with everyone still in the Czech Republic, but this time they're going to be heading to Kutná Hora, which is a town I had totally never even heard of until just now. Once again, Jag and Jazz are starting off in the lead, but they have been working very, very closely with Joseph and Natalie's teams ever since the beginning of the game. And I mean very closely, like to the point where these 6 have all decided to form an alliance in The Amazing Race and even come up with an alliance name, which is very, very Big Brother of them, called Trainwreck. Naming an alliance is something that just does not happen on The Race or Survivor or any other competition show, really. So right off the bat, the Big Brother essence is like seeping into this episode a lot, but it's just about to get way worse from here. So these 6 are all gonna make it to their first destination first, which is a brewery, and they actually make it there so early that the place hasn't even opened up yet, so they have like a couple hours to just sit and wait and strategize. And it also looked like for the most part, they even had enough time to get the challenge completed before most of the other teams even got there too. Really, throughout this whole episode, we're gonna see this group just be really good at navigation in general, taking the time to immediately ask for directions and write them down and share them with one another. Which, don't get me wrong, I am loving all of the strategy between everybody, but as a viewer, it is just kind of weird to see a group of teams so far ahead of everybody else. Like, it just doesn't make the show that interesting to know that, like, it's just going to be a steamroll, you know? Now, the other thing I wanted to talk about is the driver's seat power, because we see Jag and Jazz make it over there first, but they actually decide to relinquish that power to Natalie and her sister just to kind of throw a little bit of blood off their hands. Especially because in this driver's seat, Natalie and Stephanie are gonna have to choose how much work to give each team. Jag and Jazz also just wanted to lower their threat level a little bit here since they've been winning like damn near everything, which I did think was pretty good strategy as well. Now, the first challenge they end up doing this season is the brewery challenge, where they basically just have to fill all of these bottles of crates full of beer. Overall, the concept seemed pretty simple, but there was a little bit of a trick to it, so we saw some people struggling with this way more than others. It looked like the main issue was that people were kind of rushing through it instead of slowing down to take their time, but eventually everybody is able to get through it at least. Natalie and Stephanie actually get done with this challenge first, and they end up taking a lot of time to like carefully write down all the directions for Jag and Joseph. Again, I love that this alliance is working out for the 6 of them. I really do. But as a viewer, it is just kind of killing the momentum of the season because there's like no competition here at all. I mean, like, you know, obviously they're playing in a competition, but it's not competitive. It's like the least competitive competition I've ever seen. Plus, it's just helping to ensure that the same team stay in the front the entire time, which again is just boring from a viewer. I really can't blame any of the contestants for that though, because it is totally legal. There's no rules against working with other teams on the show or anything like that. And honestly, probably the fact that a lot of these Big Brother people do know each other in the real world. They hang out in real life. They go to parties together. So stuff like that probably makes it a lot harder to portray someone when you know you're going to be singing and hanging out with them later. The next challenge is something that is pretty physical, but again, super simple. It's the one where they have to plow through that field of dirt in order to find the next clue. They've actually done things similar to this in the past, and again, this is something that is physically demanding, but you just gotta get through it, and everybody is eventually able to in a pretty decent time. I did want to take a moment and give Rubina a special shout out here though, because she's a pretty petite girly, but she just beasts through this competition carrying all that heavy ass machinery, so you go girl. At this point, Tucker and Eric are really starting to catch up, and honestly, it's feeling like these guys would be the only people that would be any sort of opposition to this train wreck. wreck alliance. The big problem here is obviously it's going to be 6 versus 2. Plus, I doubt that they even recognize that there is an alliance that they need to be taking out in the first place. Meanwhile, the Turners are still super behind everybody else. I mean, they were already in the back of the pack in the last episode, and that's just going to continue on into this one. In this episode, we also see Chelsie and her dad getting lost and getting into it about the navigation a little bit. And in addition to that, we also see Rubina have her own little freak out moment about just directions and navigation in general too. Really, next to long distance running, I've always felt that knowing how to read a map well and just having a good sense of direction in general is a really main skill to have for this game. It just seems like episode after episode, we see so much time getting taken up just from getting from point A to point B. Another thing that is seeming to take a lot of time this season in particular is just forgetting or losing stuff. In the first episode, it was Kat, and in this episode, it is Adam that loses their keys, and so they have to go all the way back and retrace their steps to find them, which is obviously just a careless move, but hey, I am not gonna sit here and judge anybody too much because I could totally see myself doing the same thing out there, I can't lie. Now, the last challenge of this episode is the ice hockey challenge. Again, another one that is simple in concept, but a little bit tricky to execute. This is another one where you just gotta try and get it done, even though if you have a little bit more balance, I could totally see this being easier for you. Overall, it does seem like most people are able to get it done in a decent time. And then you have people like Joseph and Alex who take over 20 shots, but hey, they get it eventually too. Now, another controversial point in this episode happens at the finish line because we see that Jag and Natalie's teams both end up finishing around the same time, of course, because they've been helping each other navigate throughout this whole leg. But this is where we're gonna see Jag and Jazz literally stop and wait and hand over first place prize to Natalie as a birthday gift, which that one was just so crazy to me. I mean, I haven't seen every single season of the race, but I wouldn't be surprised at all if that was literally the first time anything like that has ever happened in Amazing Race history, right? Now, on one hand, I do love this for the girlies, okay? Love this for Natalie. I thought this was totally a cute gesture, good to gain social points later on down the road, but also, what the hell, right? Like, this would never ever happen in a normal Amazing Race season, and of course we all know why this is happening for this Big Brother one, but still, it really just takes a lot of the interest out the game to me. Even though at this point, no, it really doesn't technically matter who gets first or second. It's still a competition and there is still a prize for first place. And again, I do appreciate the strategy behind this from Jazz and Jag because they don't want to come off as a front runner, just winning first place over and over again. But as a viewer, it is just a little bit anticlimactic, I gotta say. Really, this whole season so far just hasn't been that interesting to me because the same teams just keep coming out on top over and over again. Which is also very ironic because that is also a very common complaint about modern day Big Brother 2. And especially watching Jag just win everything over and over again is really giving me deja vu because that's exactly how he was able to win BB25 by just pretty much comping his way out until the end. Now, since Big Brother is an extremely social game, on one hand, it does make total sense that these people are out there making and naming alliances. But again, a steamroll on any show is just gonna make it a little bit more boring to watch. That's all I'm saying. In the end, Turner and Megan end up eliminated here, again, mainly just because of navigation struggles. They actually end up getting so far behind that Phil has to do that thing where he comes to meet them at the challenge to tell them that they're eliminated, which would probably just hurt my ego, if anything. But Turner and Megan are not like that at all. They're just like so chill and cool, calm, and collected together. Really, they really seem like total sweeties, and the way they were able to just work together and communicate through all that stressful stuff was just really inspiring for me to see. Cause it definitely would not be me, okay? I know if I was on there with my man, our stress would just feed off each other and it would be a total train wreck, no pun intended. It would definitely be entertaining though, not a dull moment there, I can promise you that. So that's pretty much all I have for now, but of course I want to know, what did you all think of this leg of the race, and how are you feeling about alliances on the show? Do you think it's refreshing to watch, or is it just dulling down the season for you? Let me know in the comments below. I really do love all the players, but for the sake of entertainment this season, I am low-key hoping that this train wreck alliance does meet its match soon. Again, nothing against anybody personally at all, it just would be nice to see some conflict in this season, you know? Of course, I'll be back here to recap the next episode with you all, but until then, bye.